Hi, everyone. It's Thursday, June 23rd of 2022. And I'm here for the weekly crypto review with MooAnt. How's it going, Moo?
Good, buddy. Well, Sam, there's a lot going on in crypto. People probably pretty curious. I did just, as I was unpacking some boxes this morning, I was listening to Fed Chairman Powell testifying in front of Congress just about the state of things and where we're at. And it was really kind of annoying because, the Democrats are pointing at the Republicans are pointing at the Democrats, like your fault, your fault, your fault. It was just kind of annoying instead of like actually talking about solutions. That's sad. But par for the course, I guess, right?
Mm. So the update on Terra Luna is that it's dead, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I when it like first started crashing, some people asked me if it was going to bounce back, and I thought that it was, but then I corrected myself. I mean, you remember a few hours later, I was like, no, that's just like sort of the bounce, but it's going down. It's going out of business, right?
For sure.
So I knew
For
that.
sure.
But with Celsius, it seems like things are going on along the track. Like I thought that people who had their money in Celsius, that they would miss the deals, right? That means that it's going back up again. And then by then, Celsius will release the funds to people, give them access. They will regain liquidity. But I don't know if they're going to pay out the staking. They're going to be able to pay out the rewards.
Yeah, I have some misgivings about that too. People that are involved or were involved in that thing, every Monday they get a little blurb of what the rewards they've received for that week. But I get the same feeling. I don't think people are going to get those rewards, and I do think they'll either be bought out or there'll be some sort of I don't even know what you call it. Maybe the assets will be sold to another lender. Yes. I actually think eventually it gets sorted out. It's just going to be a minute.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is that you can have, and they'll gladly hand it over under, threat of jail time because they created something that collapsed in on itself. I mean, it never made sense to me. It's like, how can you get 10%, for example, on your Cardano where I have to suck up 4.5% over on my Yori? But that seems more normal to me as a payment to run a network, 4.5%. A lot of people pay 4.5% interest to borrow money. It's more of a secured interest rate, though, at 4.5%. That 10 and 12%, that's more like now you're getting into credit card zone, right? So, I always wondered about that. I'm like, I'm not a pro here, but, again, over and over again, I kept saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And this is what they do to entice you, to get you to give your keys over to them. And then you lose control of everything when they have your keys. So knowing what these cryptos are going to be worth, I don't want 10% on it. I want 4.5%, but I damn well want to have it in my hand when it hits $10, right? I don't want to be like, I can't get it. Oh, it goes back. Look at Theta, for example, right? If someone had their Theta locked up, I mean, it went all the way up to $14.75. And where is it now? Right? Not very much. So if you couldn't get to it and couldn't sell it and couldn't cash in on, holding it from 5, 10, or 15 cents, then that's the kind of stuff that happens. So it is better just to keep your stuff in a wallet keep it simple. And for God's sake, don't put your seed words in just one place. Have at least 2 locations. Because I've already had a couple of people misplace their seed words, and I'm like, oh, what about your other copy? And they're like, I don't have one. And I'm like, if your house burned down, or if there was a flood, or if everything was stolen from you, I mean, if you came home and anything that looked like it had value, they just put it in a moving van and left. That's what happens as well. Sometimes they just take everything. Right. They would take your seed words as well. So just don't let that happen to you. Have a set in your locked safe. And have a set, maybe in a safe at another location. Like I could give my mom, for example, a whole bunch of seed words to put in her safe. She wouldn't have any idea about any of that kind of stuff, right?
Yep, absolutely. And people can, there's lots of ways like people could do this if they were worried, but you're right. Most people that maybe were holding seed words wouldn't know what they're holding for you. Obviously a trusted family member, but you could even write a paragraph, right? And then use those words. And let's say you color some of the words in blue and some of them in orange, and right.
I had suggested to folks that they send an email to themselves, like just a mundane email, but that they would have, it would always be on this subject matter. And that
Yeah.
subject would always be where your seed words are. And then you would find a way to put in like the name of the wallet in the paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Somewhere. And then
Yep.
maybe it would be the last word of every sentence. So that would be the challenge, right? To find 12 sentences that don't sound like a totally idiotic statement.
Right. And
Yeah.
I've done this. I've made really crappy poetry just to kind of disguise what it is, right?
Well, that's the thing I like about the wallets, that you don't need to know seed words. You just need
True.
to know your phrase,
Very
right?
true.
Because you can even take that wallet, throw it in the garbage, get another one, right?
Right.
Hook it up, and then use your phrase, and then you're in business again. And that's ideal for people who are in situations where governments, for example, may start confiscating things, like, especially,
Sure.
well, I mean, look at people in the Ukraine. I mean, really, people who were not prepared, who didn't have, I mean, if my country went to war right now, my real estate would be worth nothing.
Right.
If I worked at a regular job, like that, I went down the street to go work for this company or something, and they paid me a
Sure.
paycheck, that job would be gone.
Yep.
Right. So my work, my real estate, right, my gold and silver, that would be very difficult to take out of the country, because I'd probably just have to abandon the silver and take the gold,
Right.
because of the sheer amount of silver that you just can't cart with you. So that's a problem, right?
Yep.
So I wouldn't necessarily lose that, but I would probably end up distributing it to family and friends, because I wouldn't take it out of the country. But the cryptocurrencies, you can just get on a plane. You're like, oh, frisk me. I got nothing. I got $50 on me, right? And
Right.
then you get
Absolutely.
to the other side of things, and oh, believe me, you'll find somebody in a family member or a good friend who'll be willing to help you access those cryptos.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Sam, thanks. This was a good idea. I'm glad we covered some of this stuff. I sometimes feel like every now and then we need to go back to basics, and talk about these things, because we have new people joining all the time, right? And maybe some of these concepts are brand new to them, or never kind of really thought about some of these things. But so I'm glad we did that.
All right.
And once again, we should probably also say, if you're watching this up on YouTube, right, because a portion of this gets uploaded to YouTube. There's lots of scammers out there impersonating this person and that person. Be careful, you guys. There's a lot of bots that are spamming channels, all sorts of channels with, this trading program and that trading program. And, Bob Smith made me rich, and here's how you contact him. Don't fall for any of that nonsense. Please just stay away from any of that crap, guys.
Yeah. And this is not financial advice. Do your own research. MooAnt and I, we work over on Patreon as full-time creators. And those are the folks that we work with who compensate us for our time. So over on YouTube, we literally work for free, because what we want to do is what was done for me when I was new to cryptos. The only place I could get good information where people would really tell me what was up, because they didn't have a dog in the fight, because they had another job full time. They had a way to earn a living. And they were just like, I love this blockchain. I know people are going to need help. Oh boy, did I ever make a lot of mistakes. Like when I was new, I told so many people when I first started my channel, if you get involved in an ICO, don't send the money from an exchange. They won't, you got to have a wallet address, and, so on. Right. So,
Right.
all of these little things. Oh, scammers. Oh, don't click on this. Anytime anyone gets scammed in any way, shape, or form, we let you guys know about that. I'm currently testing a phone that is impervious to SIM swaps. So I just hooked it up this week, and it's a phone number that covers me for the US and Canada. So that will
Love
also
it.
cover my production company in the US. So I'll be letting people know if that doesn't give me any problems. It's on the AT&T network. I could choose between AT&T or Verizon, and I already have
Nice.
like a Verizon stick. So I was like, oh, spread things out. So anyhow, I just wanted to clarify that with folks on YouTube, that, I don't receive any financial compensation. I do click on the no ads thing, but I've noticed that they still force you to put one up at the beginning and one at the end. I
Right.
haven't been able to find a way around that. So if anyone
Sure.
wants to give me a tip how to completely cut the ads off of these, I just want to give people free information. And then you can go ahead and do your research and decide which cryptocurrencies you want to get involved with for yourself. But our Our rules are pretty simple for ourselves. Don't FOMO in. Make sure that you research the blockchain you're involved in and believe in it, so that when it does hit hard times, or for example, in the case of Phantasma, there was a huge hack on it, which destroyed the price of it almost back to what I originally paid for it.
Right.
Right. I think I got it for 24 cents and it got destroyed down to like 39 or 29 or something like that. But I believe in the project. I believe in the individuals who are involved in this project. So therefore, and also the other thing too is I don't have 100% or even 50% of my money in one project.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And one thing you and I have never done, we don't feel over leveraged. We don't feel like we have too much in the market. We keep this kind of very muted. And so when there's drastic downs or something, we're not that worried about things. Right. So, because I know there's a lot of anxiety out there right now. And, I'm trying to pick my words carefully because I know the YouTube algorithm likes to flag certain words, but yeah, never, ever, ever, not investment advice, but geez, I would never invest more than I could afford to lose. That's for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, people can't help it though, because
I know.
I'm putting myself in the shoes of some 28-year-old slogging away at some
Sure.
labor or factory job, and they see a video about cryptocurrencies, they look into blockchain, and they know, like deep in their heart, this is my one chance. That rapper's song, if you had just one chance to
Yeah.
make it, right?
Eminem.
Would
Yeah.
you fail, right? Or would you do it? Would you take the chance? And so
Right.
there are some of you guys out there who are taking the chance, right? Because that was all you put, all that you had, because you didn't have like an extra 60 or 100,000 sitting in an account that you didn't expect. Oh yeah, that's just my playing money when I'm old and decrepit and can't work anymore and maybe want to take a trip somewhere. Most people don't have that kind of money.
Right.
So they
Absolutely.
dug deep. They took the only $10,000 that they had, and they probably took 10,000 from their mom as well, because they want their mom to be set, because they see
Yep.
their mother struggling. So of
Right.
course, when the market goes like this, or if you invested here and then it goes down like that, of course you're going to be a lot more upset than someone like me who, spread my bets, had a whole bunch of money. Oh damn, I bought Tezos at 60 cents. Oh, it fell to 40 cents. Oh darn, I'm such a dummy, right? You don't freak out over stuff like that. But if you are betting everything on it, and that was one of the things that I saw 3.5 years ago when I was describing the journey that we were going to go on. And I forget about that. But now that we're going back, right now we're doing the Flashback Fridays, we have to go through hundreds of hours of material.
Yeah.
And we word search and we're finding so many things. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to say, I said that. Oh, I don't even remember saying that. And then you really know it's the blab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam. Let's go ahead and get into some of these questions. We've got about 25 or so right now. First one here is from Dale with 20 votes. It says, hey, Sam and Moo, are we now seeing a V-shaped bottom recovery in the crypto market? Thank you.
Yes, I did feel like it would go like that, and then it would go sideways for a bit, and then it would go up. Now, we could get one more slam down though. So, but if we do, it's only going to be for a short time, just one more slam down.
So Dale, I guess what I would say to this is, I'm not sure, but this doesn't look like a V-shaped recovery to me yet. We would need to see. I mean, I guess I could zoom in a little bit, but it looks to me, it just looks like it's just tracking along. So I think if and when there's a recovery, it'll be very noticeable on these charts, as a lot of these V-shaped kind of things are. But the general trend, we would like to see the general trend at some point, start to go the other way. All right, here we go. Next one is from Lexi. Hey, Sam and Moo, bear market rallies are normal. Will we go up a little and then have a significant drop again below 17K? Some people in the crypto community say it will be 2 to 3 years before all-time highs again. Are you able to get anything from your guides on this?
Oh, well, I already know this 2 to 3 year stuff. I almost like snort in disapproval when people say it. Like I always get like this little laugh that comes out of me, like just like when they said inflation was transitory.
Yeah.
I mean,
What a
there are a
joke.
few things that I am super sure about, and one of them is that we're not in this down cycle for 2 to 3 years for cryptos. we should have like one more great big up, and then after that, I'm not quite sure. You'll have to ask me at that point what goes on.
And I do think it's important to just kind of keep things in perspective. World markets are pretty shaky. Everybody knows everything that's going on right now. But if we take a look at the total market cap, I mean, it just takes us back, and this might anger some people, but it just takes us back to where we were, January 28th of 2021. So I don't know, just kind of wanted to show that. But anywho, hold on one sec. Next question here from Crypto Cato. Hey, Sam and Moo, we are now officially in summer. Do you still see a melt up coming in crypto market? And could it start this summer? Summer of Doge. Thanks so much to both of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I say summer of Doge, I'm not expecting it to start in, let's say, September, because that doesn't really sort of mean a summer of Doge. So if, let's say, it starts in July and then it goes for August and September, then you'll be able to look back and go, oh, that was the summer of Doge. That was the summer it hit $1,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking about the blab. That's my feedback on it. Thanks for that
Sure.
great question, Crypto Cato.
Solar Dragon's got one here. Hey, Sam and Moo, what are your top 3 favorites for layer 1s and top 3 for non-layer 1s? Thank you. Much love.
I'll let you go first, Moo.
Sure. Maybe this is a good time to just, once again, we have new people all the time. So why don't we just talk about like what a layer 1 is, right? Because there's maybe people listening to us and they're like, I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. So let's do this.
Like Celsius was a layer 1 because it did its own transactions on Ethereum. It was like an ERC20.
Right. But a layer 1 is going to be like an individual train track. So Bitcoin would be a layer 1. Ethereum would be layer 1. Cardano would be a layer 1. Polkadot would be a layer 1. So these different networks, and then on these different networks, you have train cars, right, that can run on them, or you have corresponding train tracks that run alongside those layer 1s, and we call those layer 2s. Because the layer 2s, they can be like a nested blockchain, or they can inherit security from the layer 1. But that second layer 2 track is like a fast track. It's like a bullet train, right? Because it doesn't have to do all the things that the layer 1 has to do, or it offloads some of the computational stuff off the actual chain into batches, things like this. So I hope this makes sense, but maybe I'll include this. This link here might be helpful. It just kind of explains what a layer 1 is, what a layer 2 is, and these different ideas.
So layer 2 would be something like Loop Ring.
Yes. Yep. Arbitrum, Optimism, Loop Ring, Matic, Polygon Matic. No, Voyager's Voyager's an ERC base 20, so it's like a train car that runs.
Okay, so they don't.
Yep.
They don't run. They're not like a layer 2. I thought that you could do your own transactions on Voyager, just like Loop Ring. But I haven't used Voyager, but I've used Loop Ring myself. Sure. And what would like Uniswap and Pancake Swap and all of those dexes?
Those are just dApps that run, and they can access different blockchains and do swaps, or people can provide liquidity up there to do swaps. So that's just like a program. So that would just be like a program that lives on some of these. So like Pancake, that's Binance Smart Chain predominantly, right? Uniswap, that's Ethereum network predominantly. So so the question was, what are your 3 favorite layer 1s? So I don't know if these are my 3, but I'll just give you 3 layer 1s: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and let's say Cardano, for example. And then what are 3 non-layer 1s? So I assume they either mean layer 2s or they mean apps and dApps. Like I like Chainlink. I like Matic, Polygon. And what else? I don't know. There's 2. But anyway, so what are your thoughts, Sam?
I will add to Chainlink and Polygon. I would add the graph to that.
Okay,
that's a good up and comer. It's just I'm looking for, because there's so many coins and tokens out there. I'm looking for individual ones that kind of do something a little bit different that will be sought out because they are standalone. The layer ones, I do like. I like Cardano, Polkadot, and Avalanche.
Yep.
Of course, you guys know that I like Ethereum, but I think some people are looking for something a little bit more
Sure.
extensive than Ethereum, because everybody knows Ethereum has kind of already made it, even though there is a delay on the change over to ETH 2.0, so it's proof of stake. But I had said, somebody asked me that if there would be a delay, and I said that a few months ago, and I said that there would be. This is what I'm recalling. I recall saying that there would be, but that it would only be by like a month or two. It wouldn't be very long.
Yeah, and it's going really well. So if anybody's been following the progress of that merge, more and more test nets. They just added another huge test net. Things are going really well, actually. No major issues. It's something I pay attention to almost every single day. Read articles. Going very, very smooth. I know Cardano postponed its hard fork upgrade. I wish I could remember the name, but I'm drawing a blank. But I would say the merge is going really good. The test nets are working fine. I'm pretty stoked, pretty happy about it. That's what these kind of periods are, right? You're glad that there's test nets and things to do and things to potentially break, so you can get it figured out right before an actual merge, the real merge, right? So whenever being in technology and software and different things, I mean, I would rather fix or test things forever rather than try and fix something in production, right? So if there's any hint of any problem, I would always want it to be delayed, get the problems worked out, and move on, right? That's the whole point. Vassal, yeah, Hold Gold says Vassal. Yep. So the Vassal hard fork has been delayed, yeah, by about a month so far. Next one, Pony Pete says, "Dear both, how do you see crypto world in 2 to 3 years? Do you think that crypto popularity will rise incredibly, but also governments will be more and more strict with laws and rules? Question mark. Any guidance how to deal with it? Thank you and have a nice day."
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I was told by somebody who knows nothing about what we're doing here, but again, just a fellow medium, and they just brought it up out of the blue, and they said that by 2024, so that would be in 2 years, the market will have calmed down, so that the only way you're going to make like 100 times your money is if you find like something that gets developed in the early days, like people found Doge at a quarter of a penny, right? That kind of thing. Those will be few and far between. Whereas in the next 2 years, it will be easy to find somebody who made millions of dollars in cryptocurrencies and then just cashed in, jumped off, and passed the baton to somebody else who then in turn made millions of dollars. So that's over the next 2 years. And you can see that with it's almost like just before the big tsunami comes, you see all the water that pulls back, right? And then we're seeing all this adoption, and we're just like, so many contracts are being signed. IOTA just signed a contract with Dell.
Yeah. That's
More and more contracts are, and blockchain is starting to be discovered by the world. And more importantly, because people don't want the United States running things anymore as far as the currencies go, because look at how much they've messed everything up with, if you don't do what I want to do, we're going to put sanctions on you. We're going to pull SWIFT. We're going to do this and that, and that's going to create a lot of problems for other countries, because they're kind of looking at each other going, well, we're not in the crosshairs of the United States yet, but what if we are? They can literally destroy our economy and kill us off without, pointing a gun even, So they've now woken up to that fact and are taking steps to ensure that they are financially independent from, the United States. So you're going to see, and the United States won't be able to fight against it, because even though it's 20% of gross domestic product for the planet, it's only 20% of gross domestic product for the planet. It's just that it's one country. But if the other 80% are against this, and adopt blockchain, the United States won't be able to say much about it. Plus, this is where the greedy mofo senators and congressmen come into play to your advantage, because you know how much you hate them, right? I hate them too, because they steal your taxpayer money, they line the pockets of their buddies, and they put themselves in positions of power so that when they finally get voted out because they do such a crappy job, they just land softly and still live in a bigger mansion than ever. So this is the one time it's going to be to your advantage, because these cockroaches have significantly invested in cryptocurrencies. And so they are not going to allow them to all go to zero. And so I like to drop that little bomb there as well, because I like to look at the positive side of things.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get them all out all at once. It's going to happen though. But again, sometimes you just got to work with what you have. So that's my picture. That's what I'm seeing over the next couple of years in cryptos. It's not going to take very long for the massive adoption. So anyway, so that's my story, guys. Let's see if the story continues the way that I've seen it. I'm waiting for that third big wave. I saw the smaller one, I saw the bigger one, and now I see that really huge one. And people would say, Sam, why didn't you cash in all your cryptos before this big dip? And it's like, I kid you not, when it comes, you will see and understand that there was no way I was taking a risk of missing that wave at all. I would rather sit here with half the money I had last year and not miss that wave.
Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. Here we go. Arcane Buddha's got one here about XYO. It says, in the past, XYO, in the past, you've stated that announcements would cause it to rise. Can you elaborate a bit on these announcements that are yet to come, ? And can you blab a bit about our favorite 3 letters? I don't know what that means, but our favorite 3 letters.
Arcane Voodoo. What are the favorite 3 letters? Maybe he's talking about XYO, or our favorite 3 letters.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So XYO, I don't have anything more than what I'd already mentioned, but I see that it has already pulled back to a cheap price again. So it'll be going for round 2. So if anyone's looking for something that is a survivor, that's going to have a nice multiple, XYO is one of them. And the announcement will be very similar to, for example, when Loopring announced their partnership with GameStop, and when Dell announced their partnership with IOTA. And so XYO will be announcing partnerships like with big organizations like that, but where they're geo mapping, it'll be appropriate for what, like maybe with, for example, Tesla.
Sure. Thanks, Sam. That's awesome. Nice blab. Peter Wang's got one here. When do you see the Fed becoming dovish, and will the crypto markets turn at that time, or turn up before or after the Fed turns?
Okay, so I was sure about the interest rate increase that came last week. That was I felt like that was going to go ahead. And the one I wasn't sure about was July. I wasn't sure if they were going to do one for July or not. I don't feel like they're going to do anything after that. So if they do in July, they're done after that, right? But they are going to lose control of interest rates. It is going to come to a point where the Fed is just, the world isn't going to care what the Fed is quoting for interest rates.
Yeah, so I kind of want to ask you this question, and some of these topics we get into, I feel like a little bit more deeper over at the Psychic Nerds. But anyway, would you say they've already lost control? Because that's what it feels like to me. I mean, it seems like they kind of already lost control.
Yeah.
I mean, higher print after higher print, right? CPI looks pretty bad.
Yeah. No, and the other thing too is that they think that they are going to be able to lift interest rates like they did back in 1980, and that was going to get inflation under control. But what they don't understand is that, inflation is raging for a different reason than it was raging in the 1970s. And they are not going to be able to control it with interest rate hikes, because you see, the people who are buying stuff are not going out and getting loans to buy it. It is cash that they already have. This is the largest transfer of wealth in human history. And you're not going to stop a bunch of people who have hundreds of millions of dollars, of flooding a certain area of the world, for example. Like, look at what happened to Vancouver when the people in Hong Kong wanted to get their money out of Hong Kong before it reverted to the Chinese in 1999, because they knew the way the Chinese are, and that even though they said that there wasn't going to be any changes, the Chinese systematically moved their center of wealth to another large city outside of Hong Kong over that 20 years. And then the people in Hong Kong were like literally screwed. They have clamped down on them. It's never, I just told people, like, get out of Hong Kong if you can. They're not going to get what they want. That was my prediction. And unfortunately, that is what's coming true. And so I'm just seeing that as the example of, they're showing it to me because I was at the 1986 World Expo in Vancouver. And that was when the prices started to go up a lot because people discovered Vancouver and they began to buy, like they would take $150,000 condo and then all of a sudden it would be going for 400,000. Like it was that type of price rises over a period of 5 to 10 years. And I do feel like that is going to continue to happen. But again, only in certain places. I mean, if you have an apartment in New York City, you're probably not going to make a lot of money on selling that, even with inflation, right? Because you'll be lucky if you just get your money back or just get maybe 20% on it. Because again, crime is huge there. But if you go to a place like Tampa, Florida, right, or Orlando, those places are considered, fairly safe. And those property values would go up a lot more than, for example, a place where taxes are high and, a high tax state. So those are going to be some of the things that will make it clear to the Fed that their interest rate rising, that it's not helping anything. And it's just creating problems for them, like in the housing market and stuff. And I think that might be why they'll stop raising the interest rates.
Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. Very detailed too, so thank you. Coconut Ninja. Oh no, Cornut Ninja. I thought it was coconut. It's got a question here. Hey guys, is Reef and Dot linked together, some kind of partnership? I've been hearing that they need each other to move forward. Thank you for your wisdom and your guidance.
No, I don't recall hearing anything about Reef and Dot needing each other to move forward. Did Reef sign on with Polkadot for some functions, I think, a while back?
So this would be so the way we can think about this, once again, back to our layer one or our train cars. So, Reef is built on Substrate. So we can think of it as running on the Polkadot network. But Reef is also its own EVM compatible chain as well. So there is some ability to interact there, but it is built on Substrate. So, but I don't know why Cornet Ninja, I'm not sure who's been saying they need each other. Adamski says here, yeah, maybe it's because Reef Chain is built on Polkadot Substrate. So maybe that's what people are commenting about, that it's built on Substrate. Yeah, not sure. Barton Tom says, hey, Sam and Moo, I was looking for the best 3 QLabs to buy between now and July 1st. What should I buy?
Gosh, Matic went up a lot, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
Got a nice pump. Yeah.
So QLabs, let's see. Polkadot's still really cheap. I like that. Ethereum is really cheap. And Cardano, I would get, Polkadot, Cardano, Ethereum. Great. He's like QLab, so
yeah.
We'll stick with.
Thanks, Sam. Daydreamer says, hey, Sam and Moo, what do you think will happen first? The U.S. stock market crash or Tether crash? Thanks.
I think it will be Tether. And isn't that strange? Today, I was listening to it just came on YouTube because I was watching something else. And then I hear Mac Kaiser, and he's talking about Tether. And does he endorses Tether, doesn't he? He thinks it's great. He thinks it's stable. He thinks it's wonderful. Does he?
No, I doubt that. He's pretty critical of anything that's except Bitcoin, like really critical.
Okay. I'll have to
So
look at my history then and
sure,
re-listen to it because I was like, what is he saying that, Tether is solid and that maybe he was being sarcastic. That's why I have to
sure.
re-listen to it.
Yeah, he does that a lot. He's pretty sarcastic and
Yeah.
entertaining. I
Yeah.
don't agree with a lot of what Max Kaiser says, but I still find him entertaining, and I can listen to people that hold different views than me. It doesn't
Yeah,
bother me
no,
at all.
absolutely. I find him
Yeah,
very
yeah.
entertaining.
Uh, he's a character, man.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring this up. I didn't know if you heard about this, right, Sam? But just a couple days ago, Tether prepares with all these things going on with the stable coins and people getting worried, and just with everything going on. Um, Tether's they're basically going to prepare a full audit to improve USDT reserves and transparency. Now, and it says Tether will undertake a full audit with a top 12 accounting firm to improve transparency of its USDT reserves. Now, they've done audits like this before. The last one was kind of a joke. Like they wouldn't let people really see it. And it wasn't a notable firm that did the audit before, but I don't know. Maybe this one will do better. Maybe there'll be more transparency in this one. But I think all they're doing is I think they're trying to say, hey, I think they're trying to calm people down. I think is what they're trying to do. But you don't see the future going well for Tether, do you, down the road? Or do you?
No, and it keeps coming up. And again, just to tell people again, I have no reason to support Tether or to not support Tether. I don't know anybody who works with the Tether token. A stable coin. I have no reason to be against it. Stable coins are important. I am more on Moo's side of things where when I come out, I'll just be coming out into whatever fiat currency, whether it's US, Canadian, or the Mexican peso.
Yeah, absolutely,
I'll come out
100%.
in whatever fiat currency because mama's going shopping, right? That's what's happening. I'm going shopping. All these years. I'll be showing you too. And look, and this is my king size bed in my new place.
I
And
love it.
this is my big screen TV that I had someone mount for me. And, I'll be like, you can live vicariously through me until your crypto's coming. Because again, it all depends on, I remind people if they just get in 2021 and, they really took a sucker punch by, maybe they dumped all their cash in May of 2021, the worst possible time. How good is it to hear from somebody with a really good prediction track record as far as cryptos and worldwide events go, that hey, don't worry about it, it's coming back, you're going to be okay. Obviously you would have loved to have waited until now, but really think about it this way, that all that happens is it just affects the amount of time that you have in cryptos. That's the only difference, because most people are not going to hold a coin or token to 500 times. I mean, if you paid $1 for something and it goes up to $30, I mean, you're probably going to cash it in, and then somebody else will take it and ride it to 300 and then cash it in. I mean, most people are not going to do that. But obviously the people who got in at 5 cents, they might even cash in sooner. They might cash in when it's $1.50. So people have to keep that in mind if they bought
Sure.
in at a higher number. That's all it means. It just means you stay in a little bit longer. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. I really appreciate that. East West says, "How is it, Sam and Moo? Have you been buying any crypto during the past few weeks? If so, which ones? Cheers." I went away. I felt like I needed a break, just being so busy, and then you know people's nerves around cryptos and just the state of the world, and I felt like I needed a break. So last weekend I went to a car show with my family, and it was super fun. And so I didn't get a chance to take advantage of that $888 Ethereum, but I did get some Ethereum right around $1,000. So I was pretty happy about that. So that's what I've done just in the last few days or weeks. Yeah. Sam, what about you?
I actually got off my butt and I transferred some money over to Gemini, and there it sits. It sits there, and I'm just going to take a look around later on. I've really been so busy. So again, it's just been this onslaught of busyness that I haven't been able to dive in and take advantage, and yet again have more cryptos. And of course, I didn't launch my NFTs because I don't want anybody right now while the market's down. I don't want anybody buying reading NFTs from me. I want you investing for yourself because again, I feel like it's going to be shockingly upward. And so as far as timing goes, I just wanted to time myself. And if it takes Solana a little bit longer to get back up to $50, I'll just give it a $50 value anyways when I'm listing my NFTs because it's only Sam Jammers that I'm doing the initial offering to anyways.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, thanks, Sam. Yeah, super detailed. I know you're very busy right now. I'm very busy. We got a lot going on. I'm Richie says, hey, Sam and Moo, ProShares short Bitcoin ETF is scheduled to begin trading on the New York Stock Exchange. Yeah, I think it started yesterday. The timing of this short ETF in a fragile crypto market and with Celsius and Three Arrows Capital issues, sell pressure does not sound promising for a big bounce in the market. Do you see this ETF used to drop BTC to a much lower levels so that the big boys can load up their favorite cryptos? So this is just an inverse ETF. It is a short, and it allows, it makes it easier for retail people to short Bitcoin. There wasn't much volume the first day in this, but I think yesterday there was the volume was up quite a bit. 380% rise in volume. But anyway, Sam, I'm Richie sounds concerned. So do you see this ETF being used to drop BTC to a much lower level so that the big boys can load up their favorite cryptos?
I just think it's another opportunity to wreck all these people who want to short Bitcoin. It's like, how stupid can you be? Bitcoin has fallen from 69,000 down to about 20,000, and you're going to short it now? You insolent moron. You deserve to lose everything. I mean, the lowest, even if it fell to 14,000, it would bounce, people would gobble it up and it would bounce right up. So I predict that this exchange traded fund is going to go out of business, just like those idiots at Three Arrows Capital. I hope they go down in effing flames. I'm sorry that people are going to lose their jobs, but when you get involved, like anything sort of hedge fund like at all, I am not happy at all with the sort of things that they do to short stuff and manipulation and doing stuff on 20 times. And I want to see them get wrecked, all of them. I want only the only people who are going to survive this are the hodlers. Okay, everybody doing 20 times and short and stuff. And I mean, the market is going like this. I'm like, are you people insane? Like, what is wrong with you? They really should just go to Vegas and just get it over with, right?
Sure.
If that's what they want to do, because they're in here, they're messing with our market, and I hope it wrecks them. I don't feel like any of them are going to do any good because, like I said, you don't short Bitcoin at 20,000 after it's already fallen. It only has
Right.
I mean, if there's one more, I said there might be one more slam down, and if so, if Bitcoin went down a few more thousand, it wouldn't stay down very long because people would gobble it. I mean, would you not be buying? You know what? I would probably even buy Bitcoin if it fell to like something like 17,000.
Yeah, I mean, I remember buying Bitcoin at $3,100 when everyone else said the hyper wave was going to kill us all. You remember that? And you and I were laughing. Or I bought more Bitcoin at I think 8,700, something like that. Man, if it goes there, I'm actually happy. I wouldn't mind if it went there. Let's just say that, right? I wouldn't mind if it went there. I feel bad for people that bought at the top, but listen, I mean, you liked it at 65, right? Why wouldn't you like it at wherever its potential bottom is, right? Is what I would say. Because people always do that, right? They like something when it's hundreds of dollars or whatever. Man, it goes to a few bucks, and now they suddenly hate it. I don't know. My brain doesn't work like that, I guess. Not that there's been a lot of pain in the market. I get that. People are scared, but I don't know. Stan says, "Hey Sam and Moo, do you see ETH going to $700 to $800? Thanks." Well, we saw it go to 888 ish this last weekend. So Sam, do you see ETH going to $700 or $800 or back there?
Yeah, if there's one more slam down, I might put in a stink bid of like, at this point, I'd be happy with $900 for Ethereum. So that was one of the things I was going to do with Gemini, because I mean that worked before with Bitcoin. I put in a stink bid on Bitcoin one time a few years ago, and then on the overnight it dipped down below enough. I think Bitcoin was more around the $4,400 range, and I put in a bid of like 3,500, and overnight it was filled at 3,500. I just had to wait like 3 days. It was crazy. I was like, oh, that's how this whole market works. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. This says, hey, Sam and Moo, any blabs on Tezos? Thanks a lot.
Nope, no bad blabs on Tezos. Still seeing it there. Still excited about it, and still baking my Tezzies.
Sure. Digital Assets Jared says, hey, Sam and Moo, for all you do, can XYO, VChain, and Reef hit the range of 50 cents to $1 in the next big wave coming?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I would completely expect them to. I have adjusted my jump off points, my initial jump off points to lower numbers, um, just because looking at all, adding it all up and everything like that, I was like, oh, I was being so silly to not take some from those ones, right? So, um, and since I see that as the next opportunity, that probably is what prompted me to readjust my numbers, to
Sure.
sell some of my V chain, at 25 cents and then at 50 cents and then at $1.
Thanks, Sam. Crypto Dusty Dog says, hey, Sam and Moo, a good mate of mine has been running an ETH/VChain paired trading bot. For the last 6 months, it has been returning about 5% a month as the market is way down and I could use some extra income. Is this a good idea?
No. Do you want to talk to people about the trading bots? Because we all know we have these people selling stuff on YouTube and my whole point to them is, if you're doing so great, I mean, I give this information out for free on YouTube because
Right.
I don't need people's money, right? I do
Right.
pretty well on myself by myself, right?
Yep.
And I have the Patreon and earn money from that so that my husband doesn't divorce me, right? Because I
Right.
spend so much time with my Patreon peeps, right? He
Right. And
expects.
interacting and doing different shows that people on YouTube never see. They never see these other shows that you do. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I just want to remind people again that I do work full time
Right.
over on Patreon, but I don't sell any. I'm not trying to sell people to join my Patreon so that I can make millions of dollars for them by telling them which cryptos to buy, when to get on, when to get off. That's not my stick, especially as a
Right.
medium. That would be against the rules. I can tell you the story of cryptos, the way things are going. We're having some fun in the grand experiment, figuring out which one are the survivors, the ones that you would hodl, roughly what price I think that the top end is going to be at. I did really well with Theta, for example. So that's part of the grand experiment that's already, sort of started to come to fruition. I did really well with Digibyte, knowing that it was going to be a laggard, telling people to dump it, to put it in other ones, but yet it would still survive. So it's still alive today, but it's still in the basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, those are some of the things that have already started to come true. But as far as me trying to sell people on joining crypto so that they would make lots of money, I am truly a medium and I'm good at what I do. So therefore, I don't need to sell like some kind of package to people on cryptos. So going back again to the traders that started this whole blab, I always think to myself, if you're such a good trader, why would you even do these advertisements and videos trying to entice people to buy this trading package? Like, aren't you making enough money trading? Wouldn't it be better for you just to keep your head down and your mouth shut and then do your trading and make $1 million on the side and claim your taxes and then move away somewhere quietly rather than being on YouTube and trying to
Right.
sell this trading package if trading worked for you, then why are you
You wouldn't
doing
have to.
that? Like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
don't you give it away for free? Why don't you help people for free over
Right.
on YouTube? Because people are on YouTube, it's free. It's because, they can't afford to pay for a service sometimes. So
Right.
again, do you want to say a word on these trading bots and why people should stay away from them?
Yeah. I stay away from all these kinds of things, you guys, and I'm a computer guy. So and I have no need to do this. I don't trust a lot of these things. I've seen a lot of scammy things around these before. And Crypto Dusty Dog, I'm not making fun of your friend. Maybe your friend is awesome. Maybe you know him very well, him or her. And maybe they're great. But why? I mean, there's just no reason. And do you really know what you're getting into there? Is what I would say. And something like Well, yeah. So I'm a computer guy, and I don't do things like this. I don't buy trading packages. I don't put money in bots to trade for me. I don't do these things. I just don't do them. Um, and I've seen other people, and maybe your friend's fine or whatever, but I've seen a lot of people get hurt around stuff like this. Um, when something is automated, it will do things on their behalf, right? Well, sometimes it's going to do things you wouldn't want it to do. Maybe you can't get to it. Maybe you're away. Maybe you can't turn it off, right? Maybe you input parameters incorrectly, right? I just stay away from all this kind of stuff. There's no reason to. That's that's just my opinion. Just my opinion. John says, "Hey Sam and Moo, with all the amazing developments of Star Atlas, is it possible there will be an announcement event that will trigger a Doge summer-like impact for it? If so, how much? Always grateful for your heartfelt support for us. Thanks, Johnny. Be good."
No, I don't have any new information on Star Atlas. The developments are amazing. I love the reviews that Drill and Phil gives us on like the showrooms that they have and things like that that they're building, and how lifelike the ships are and the attention to detail. And I think that this is going to be a huge seller to the public and people who like to who like to play video games, because you know how real it looks makes a huge difference to people. And we think about when we used to play Space Invaders, and we were
Yeah,
little kids and stuff like that, and these were just like really little pixels on a
right,
computer screen that we were just shooting down. And but yet you could do it for hours and hours and want to get up higher and higher levels. Imagine how much better it is for now. Fast forward 40 years later, and we're now dealing with three-dimensional environments. And so even though I don't see anything coming this summer in particular that's going to drive the price of Star Atlas, other than it will go up like everything else goes up, and where it is one of the more micro coins, it of course will have a higher multiple. I mean, we already saw that when the market started to turn around a bit. Ethereum was up 7%, but stuff like Matic was up 20 something percent, and Cardano might have been up 14%. It's like it does double digits, right? It does a much
right.
higher percentage turnaround. So I see that for Star Atlas. But I feel like where I saw like the month of April was going to be really big for it, and I assumed it would be this past April, but now I'm looking forward to next year. And the game's fairly complicated as well, and I agree with the suggestion that we practice together as a team on things like spider tanks, and just to get
Mhm.
ready, coordinating it. So I feel like we've been given like that extra time that we need to be good at Star Atlas. But as far as anyone who's trading on the token, like just put it away, and or buy a ship and stake the ship, and then when the time is right, sell it. You could be looking at probably 2024 to turn a nice profit on your Star Atlas, but not before then.
Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate that. This next one is from Marcus. It says, "Hi, Sam. Is Digibyte a good one to buy right now? It's only 1 cent. It's actually under 1 cent. But let's go take a look."
Yeah. Isn't that weird, Marcus? Did you just post that, or was that already there? Oh, it had 6 votes, so it probably was already there. The Digibyte.
Yeah.
That was my example of, that it was going to be like one that doesn't go anywhere and doesn't make people any money. So would I invest in Digibyte? No, I wouldn't. I would invest in a lot of projects. Like Avalanche has been beat up a lot.
Hmm.
Cardano should do great. Um, if you're looking at something that's like at the Digibyte level, I would probably be more likely to invest in I would be more likely to invest in, for example, Reef than I would Digibyte, because I feel like Reef is doing stuff. I don't feel like
Hmm.
Digibyte is really doing much right now.
And just because you mentioned Avalanche, I just wanted to pull this up. I thought this was interesting. Avalanche Bridge launches native Bitcoin support. AVAX surges 7.4%. This was today. this news. AVAX token is beginning to gain some upside momentum despite a drop off in DeFi activity. And one of the reasons I like Avalanche is that it's fully EVM compatible. So I just thought this was interesting. Maybe I'll pop this. Maybe I'll pop this article over in the chat if people want to go check that out later. Jen says, "Hey Sam and Moo, do you see Harmony or Gala as a better investment right now? Thanks so much."
Wow, that's a hard one. Harmony or Gala? See, I have Gala nodes, so I have a predisposition to choose Gala. So I'm going to go with Gala.
Yep. Thanks, Sam. Next one here. I think my order got messed up, Sam. Hold on real quick. I'm still seeing Marcus's and Jen's question.
That's me. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, here we go. True Seeker, Sam and Moo, do you feel we are at the bottom of the V, or is there one more big drop? Sam, are you sure 3 trillion is by the end of 2022, or could you be off by a year or two? Bears are saying we're not moving up until 2024 or 2025.
Yeah. So I don't agree with the bears. I think that what takes years in the stock market to happen happens in cryptos in a couple of months. So we're in early adoption phase. So this bear and bull, this doesn't even come into play. Like, people are applying concepts that were used in the old fiat currency stock markets, bear and bull, right? This is a new technology. You can't apply it. You can't apply the same thing to this new technology, because there are things that are being created new right now that will totally and completely go under. Like, there's so many people whose money will go to zero compared to if they invested in the stock market and bought established companies, for example. Because again, it's new technology, new developments. The same reason that, I mean, oh my gosh, I've got more than one coin that's gone more than 100 times. I've gotten a couple of them. Have you?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. See, we've had a couple of coins that have gone more than 100 times, and we're just like one individual. And I've only been in since 2017. You've been in a couple of years before that. But still, there's going to be a time a couple of years from now that, people will be in the crypto market for years and never hit a 100 time investment. Right. Yeah. So it's right now that this is happening. Am I sure that we're going to hit 3 trillion by the end of 2022? There's, as far as timelines go, I mean, there's not a whole lot that I can give my Samantha Jane guarantee to, but I will tell you that from comparisons about other events that have happened and my feelings about them, because you guys have seen my thing about the BC avalanche that happened just under 3 months later, the Beirut explosion that happened 6 months after it was sort of in my face. So these things that really get in my face like that, I find that it's always less than 6 months or less that it happens. And that would be like the 3 trillion market cap coming. And I know 3 times to go back to 3 trillion would just be absolutely amazing, crazy. But imagine if XRP settlement came in July and the regulators came out and said that Doge was a currency and would be taxed accordingly, and XLM was a currency, and just had a whole list of sort of some preliminary regulations. And let's say there was a Bitcoin exchange traded fund also approved by, let's say, September. I mean, if all this stuff comes to fruition as I see it happening, why wouldn't we be 3 trillion by the end of the year?
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate that. Hiroshi Stakamoro. Always love your name, man. Hi, Sam and Moo. Can you both offer some thoughts on issues with Terra Luna? Celsius 3 Arrows Capital is going to impact exposure. How is this? Is it going to impact exposure to DeFi lending? Are you still a fan of Aave? I am a fan of Aave. What we're experiencing, I think we talked about this probably on the Psychic Nerds last time or the time before, but a lot of what's happening is contagion, and people did things they shouldn't have done. And in any sector, you have, we've seen this before with insurance companies where they all insure each other, and then a massive hurricane goes flying through somewhere, and then they're in trouble, right? Or banks, kind of propping each other up, securing each other, and then one has a problem, then suddenly two do, and now four, and then eight. So contagion is a real thing. We see it all the time. We see it in all sorts of industries all the time. Yes, this is going to affect things. We're already seeing DeFi's be overextended, liquidity being pulled. We're seeing all sorts of things. You're seeing exchanges potentially have issues. You're seeing, Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX, offering up loans all over the place, and Alameda, offering loans to keep things solid. The big thing about Three Arrows Capital is, they hold a lot of the things that we hold. So if they're insolvent, a lot of us are a little worried that they're going to dump those things, right? They're going to dump their Polkadot. They're going to dump their Solana. They're going to dump their Bitcoin. They're going to dump their Ethereum, right? So that's the worry, is that they hold big trenches and tranches of these things. So that's the concern. But I'll stop there because I don't know what's around the corner. Some of these are going to have to go away, though. Some of these things are going to have to go away. Sam, thoughts?
Yeah, so I feel like Terra Luna is going away, and so is Three Arrows Capital. I think many places like Three Arrows Capital are also going to go away. And again, if they had invested the way that many of us invest, they wouldn't be going away. And what happens is, doesn't matter how much you win in those types of investments, all you need is like one big hit and you're done. Like you use the example of the insurance companies, one hurricane. And to me, that's irresponsible, because it's like, well, what happened to, the last 50 years when you've been collecting from everybody and you've been winning and buying all this real estate and buying all these properties. And then all of a sudden, one bad thing happens and then you're bankrupt, you're insolvent. No, we want to see your books here, and we want to see what you own, and we want to see what kind of outrageous bonuses you might have given away over the years to make the company insolvent. Because I mean, if you're paying out bonuses, like let's say, for example, if I paid myself out a bonus from Sam Jam and left like no money in the bank account, or only $10,000 to run things, right? What if we had a situation like when Payoneer wouldn't pay me, right? And all that money was locked in there. Well, if I didn't have any money set aside for, these stupid crap things that happen from these institutions.
Right.
Oh, and they finally sent me a note yesterday and told me that I can no longer use their platform, and that I actually am able to withdraw my money from there. They let me press the button. And then, what I thought in my head? I was like, oh, maybe the New York State's Attorney's Office has now been in touch with you.
Yeah.
Get out, lady, get out. Because I wrote a pretty good letter to the State's Attorney's Office about how I was treated and how they wouldn't let me access my money. And I'm a legitimate business, and I'm here with proof. And, I got tax returns. Yes, I'm claiming my money, because that's their biggest concern is, did you get your money through illegitimate means, right? And number two, are you paying your income tax on it? So these are the main two concerns of all of the governments, of all of the institutions. Anyone who is not following those rules, people are going to be put under. I would stay away from coins that, like, how Litecoin recently switched to having a mechanism where it could hide the, I think it must hide the wallet address, because that's what shows your identity, is your wallet address.
Yeah, Mimblewimble.
The Mimblewimble. So they adopted that, but then in turn they got themselves in trouble with the securities officials. And the thing is that, like, if I was to be hired by a company as a compliance consultant for blockchain, the first thing I would advise them is to stay the hell away from a lot of the stuff that Three Arrows Capital was doing, Celsius was doing, and Terra Luna. I would be like, stay away from that. Don't be offering staking and baking for interest rates much higher than what you can charge on that credit card if people don't make their payments. For example, make sure that you just structure things completely differently. And yeah, I don't know, man. I would.
Sure.
I think that the only one out of those three that's going to survive is Celsius, but I think that there's going to be a lot more go to zero who just, I mean, we're going to find out how many emperors had no clothes now at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Sam. Very detailed. Wise Growing Tree says, "Hey, dear Sam and Moo, I don't really have a question, but I liked your mention of David Hunter, the contrarian. Wondering if you listen as well to Kevin O'Leary, Mark Yusko, or my favorite besides you two, a wise man called Jeremy Grantham. Great complimentary information in difficult times for us." And then they have some YouTube links here. So, Sam, do you listen to any of these people here, or?
Yeah. So he heard me mention David Hunter, who is one of the people who is in agreement with the picture that I see. There's him, and then there's another fella, Charles Ninners,
Nenner,
or
Charles
that's
Nenner.
it. Charles Nenner. Yes, he's another one who matches, and I could only find those two who matched what I said. Brett Johnson matches what I say about the American dollar and the money flowing into the United States. And we're not seeing that yet. We're seeing, like, if stock markets are crashing, all stock markets are crashing. And I would simply say to anybody who is running an investment fund, I'd be, at what point do you think that the world is going to realize that they don't want to invest in, Boeing because it's in France? They want to invest in Airbus, I think, or is it Airbus that's in France and Boeing's in the US? Anyways, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
yeah. So something that is in the United States is going to be, they're going to be much more interested in buying into that company. And that goes along with my blab a few years ago about buying Coca-Cola and Anheuser-Busch and just naming, and Johnson and Johnson, and naming off all of the sort of very well-established American companies that the scared money is going to start flowing into as the rest of the world melts down. And we're going to see that over the next 12 months. We're going to see that. I like Kevin O'Leary. I never bought into his nasty man sort of villain portrayal. He tried to set himself up as the villain on Shark Tank. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, the guy is a total softie. I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm just
An
running
act.
around his ethos there. He's a big sucker for, a ball and baby, or,
Yeah, for sure.
he's not that type of person at all. He's just sort of being, the tough guy. But again, he's just trying to keep people out of trouble. And he just has a different approach with that. I might have seen Mark Yusko, but I would have to sort of see a picture of him and listen to him. And I think I've heard of Jeremy Grantham as well, and I've probably listened to him as well. So thanks for sharing those with me, Wise Growing Tree. I do encourage people to look these guys up, and you can just click on the questions there. And this is from Wise Growing Tree. It had one upvote, but I encourage people to listen to these sorts of people, because I don't spend my time listening to any of the conspiracy theory channels. I spend my time listening to people like that, because again, I get the feelings in the blab. Like I said, when people were talking about transitory inflation and I was like snorting out loud, I was like, oh, it's so not, and then I was talking about inflation being double digits. It's just when I listen to them, and even if it's somebody who's contrary, then that just makes my knowings come out even more. And I'm not going to get that listening to, for example, a conspiracy channel, because a lot of their stuff is just total complete lies, minutia, people looking for attention. It's just, to me, I feel like I'm wasting my time, and I feel like I'm at the end of the marathon, and I don't want to waste my time. I have very little time. So even if I'm doing housework, and that's when I put on these YouTube, when I'm doing housework, I'm mindlessly downloading checking account statements so I can send it over to my accountant as we do 3 tax years all over a period of 2 months. Oh yeah, baby. It's crazy. And then they're showing me all this stuff, and I'm trying to remember what's what.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I feel like these conspiracies, it's just a waste of my time. I feel like my time is like, so busy that I just don't have time. And I like to listen to kind of the same things you do, Sam, just to see if I can get anything from it or to learn something. I listen to lots of things just to learn a lot of technical things that probably nobody would ever listen to. But while my body's active, I like my brain to be active. So typically that's how that goes. Philip says, "Hey Sam and Moo, any blabs on Voyager Digital? Is it still safe to keep our coins on Voyager apps?" And we should probably talk about this. So Voyagers, they had to basically ask for some money because Three Arrows Capital owed them a bunch of money and they didn't pay it. And I think they owed them something like 311 million in BTC and then 350 million in USDC. So Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX Exchange basically gave them some money. Probably gives him and Alameda a bigger stake in Voyager. Listen, the where this is at, Philip, and I don't know what apps you have going on here inside of Voyager, and I don't want to scare anybody about Voyager, but there's just a lot of contagion and risk right now. So I don't know what apps you would have up there. Maybe you're just buying coins and leaving them there. But I would not want my stuff up there. I would never use something like that. I use big American exchanges, and even then I don't leave stuff up there. So I'm not sure what you got going on, and I'm not sure where you're at in the world. So maybe your options are limited. Sam?
I think that I mean, I agree with you about the contagion. And that's why it's a good time to make sure that you don't have your stuff on any sort of exchanges that you can't afford to lose or have locked up on you. Um, I mean, what else can I say? It's a really rough time right now, and if you don't hold your keys and you got stuff locked up, I mean, there is a possibility that you could lose it because again, it's a contagion thing. And you can have your money in your wallets offline. Like, I mean, the majority of my cryptos are offline, locked up, and I have a number of different wallets. I have all my private keys, I have my seed words, and I have my private keys because if any of these wallets go down, I don't think Exodus is going to go down. I don't think Atomic's going to go down. I don't think the Polka wallet's going to go down. But you know what? If it does, I can rebuild it. I don't need to go begging to these platforms. Oh, please help me with your
Right.
wallet that is shut down because all the developers fled. You just get your private keys and go and set it up. You don't need anybody's help. So that I tell everybody right now, if you don't have your house in order and if you have a bunch of coins and tokens all sitting on exchanges everywhere, and there's some of you've been in cryptos now for a year and a half, and before you claimed that you left your money on exchanges because you couldn't get your head around wallets. Well, it's been 18 months now, so it's time to start get off your lazy butt and learn about those wallets. I don't want to hear any of you losing your money because you didn't have it in cold storage, because you left it on an exchange somewhere and then things melted down and then you couldn't get your money. You deserve to have that at the end of all of this when it's not so crazy anymore and you've made it through all this. You've made it through the ups and downs, and to have an exchange take your money from you. I mean, just ask somebody who had anything locked up in Celsius how it feels to know
Right.
that they could potentially lose their money. I'm not seeing that. They'll probably lose a lot of their staking rewards, though, which is what drew them to that platform in the first place. So when you finally get a chance to get your money, if that blab is indeed true, take your money, get out of there. Lesson learned. Do not stake on any of these platforms again, ever, where they take your private keys. We keep seeing that over and over again. Why you shouldn't do that. And now we've just had a little reminder again. And I just look at it this way. I'm like, okay, here's a lesson to help some of you from losing, tens of millions of dollars down the road. Because right now it's a small amount. What did you have 20, 30,000 locked up in Celsius? Oh, boo-hoo. You know what? You
Right.
learned a lesson, and that's going to save you like $3 million like 5 years from now because you learned that lesson. So I need people to look at it that way as well and stop freaking out and just trust and say, I knew what I was doing. I took the chance. I made the choice. This is how it feels now. I definitely won't be doing that with my crypto riches down the road. I am not going to let someone talk me into giving them, $1 million worth of my stellar lumens, for example, for this great new project. And we're going to support this and we're all going to put in together. And then boom, all of a sudden your stellar is gone because you let someone talk you into giving you your private keys.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Dragonfly's got one here. Would you prefer a private Wi-Fi network connection or a mobile hotspot with password or security? Question mark. Are both okay when accessing wallets and exchanges? I feel a little tentative being away from my home network when I travel. And then second part here, please comment on using a YubiKey to access exchanges. So a VPN is good, and quality antivirus software on your machine is good. You should always have these things, is what I would say. I Anything crypto that I'm doing, I tend to only use the same devices to do those things. I don't use all, like I don't use my internet computers to do a lot of my crypto stuff, right? Just stuff like this. It's just how I do it. Now I know it's going a little far. You don't necessarily have to do that, but VPNs are a good idea, and security software is a good idea. And depending on your internet provider, there's tools. There's NordVPN. There's Norton. There's lots of things that Sorry, you're kind of asking a question. I would just say be secure is what I would say. So I wouldn't necessarily prefer a Wi-Fi connection over a mobile hotspot connection. I would just make sure whatever device I'm using is secure as it could be. And then you're asking about YubiKeys, and what I would do here is because this is way a larger topic than we can get into, but like Hashoshi, he does pretty good reviews on tech and security stuff. And he talks about the YubiKeys here. All you got to do is just type in YubiKey review, and you're going to get a bunch of technology type people talking about, what these are and what they can do and how they can help protect you. So that's what I would do, is I would just do, spend the time and then just watch the videos. That's what I would do. Sam, any thoughts?
Well, I don't have any YubiKeys because I'm terrible for losing things. I know me, right? So what I had to do was I had to figure out a system that was going to work for me. And by having iPhones like offline, because, not by choice, but I have a whole bunch of iPhones that are
Yep.
no longer being used.
Yep.
It was funny because my friend with the plumbing company, her guys would lose phones all the time. And one time she had an emergency situation and she needed a couple of iPhones, and she knew who to call, right? Who you
Yeah.
gonna call? Sam, she has lots of iPhones. But now that anything above 7, so all of my 10s and above, I save. And I actually just got another one this week. I'm totally friggin' hoarding iPhones. So if you guys have
Yeah.
any extra coin, you should get some iPhones, because I'm feeling like something's going to go on there. Like the supply chain stuff, that's going to be terrible, like in the next year. And that's why people keep hollering about houses going down and stuff. I'm like, people aren't going to be able to build a new house because they can get doors, but they can't get windows. They can
Right.
get, wood, but they can't get anything for the roof, for the roofing shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yep.
it's going to take a year and a half to build a house sometimes, when it would only take 6 to 8 months before. So,
Yep.
I mean, what do you think is going to happen? So again, we're going into sort of the whole supply chain thing following down on us. So I'm trying to utilize my iPhones, which I will have as backup, by downloading the like I have like my Poca wallet, Exodus, Atomic, but I don't have a SIM card in there, and it's only hooked up on my Wi-Fi in my studio and here at my home where I'm at right now. So and those are all secure, password locked. So I would never, for example, be on the road and open up my phone when I was on Baja California Peninsula and I was heading down to Cabo to get my apartment. I would never open up any of those iPhones that I had. I wouldn't turn them on, put them on that internet, nothing. So there's different things that you can do to keep your cryptos secure. So if you get a YubiKey, I would definitely get a second one and get a second one registered, because again, I've seen so many people have hundreds of thousands of dollars locked up on their accounts because they've misplaced their YubiKey. And how do I know this? Because people are writing me and they're like, Sam, where's my YubiKey? And I'm like, I'm usually pretty good for helping people find stuff. I get a pretty good track record for that. But I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, that would totally be me. I can't find my Solana seed words either. So I have to find, or my Phantom wallet, you know where my Solana is. I can't find my seed words. And it was between the time that I wrote the seed words down to not putting them in my book. I just set them down on the side there, and now I can't find them.
Ah, man.
So I got it, and I know they're in the studio, but do you know how
Mm-hmm.
many pieces of paper and notepads I have? Like literally probably about 25 to 30 notepads and stuff in the
Yeah.
studio. So now I got to run around and find that and then transfer it to my book, because otherwise, I mean, I can't use that Solana address because it's
right. And I've had to do this before. I'm sure you have too. If you can't find it, you can't recover from it. You just go, oh, well, and then you just make a new one. You just make a new one. You send the stuff over there, and you just kind of start over because that does happen a lot. How many questions do we have? We have one more here. Coinsluck. Hey, Sam and Moo, what are your thoughts on TrueBit TRU? So this is like a layer 2. I never use it. I don't need to. And I've never really thought of this as being that special, to be honest with you. But yeah, it offloads some of the computational off the main chain. But like we go over here to these applications. I just I don't know. Let's look up CoinGecko here. Sam, any thoughts on TrueBit?
Well, under TRU, it's actually TrueFi, FI. TRUEFI is TRU, TrueFi. And it just
wait, hold on.
It's number 436.
TrueFi.
Because they said TRU was the.
Well, it says thoughts on TrueBit, TRU.
Yeah, there is no TrueBit. There's only TrueFi, TRUEFI. Have you heard of TrueBit before?
I have.
Okay, because the TRU on CoinGecko, when I put it in, TrueFi came up. TRU.
TRU. TrueBit.
Yeah. TrueFi is what it's called. It's not TrueBit, it's TrueFi is what it came up. So it doesn't matter though if it's TrueFi or TrueBit or whatever. I would say no to that because there are so many good sure things out there right now that are good to invest in, like Cardano, and look at how low Polkadot is, and Ethereum. I mean, see if you can put a stink bid on that at $900 and get some ETH.
Yeah, in their question though, they typed TrueBit.
Yes, I saw that. So I was like, oh yeah, they must have just misspoke. Maybe they were looking at something else.
They share the same. They share the same TRU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yes, you have TrueBit protocol there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get TrueBit. Maybe if I put in, if I typed out TrueBit all the way, I can bring it up.
But either way, I don't think Sam or I are that interested in either one of these, right, Sam? So
yeah. Okay, I see that now. TrueBit protocol. Okay. So yeah, and it is up 12.6%. But again, so many great projects out there that are undervalued and more of a sure thing, because these smaller projects, I mean, there's only the last time anything was updated publicly for TrueBit was like November 5th of 2021, right? Not saying that nobody's working on it. It's just that I don't like how that looks to me, that nobody's touched it on GitHub for 7 months. If I see nothing at all, then I'm like, oh, well, people are posting elsewhere. Then they've got another sort of repository set up that people can communicate on. But if you see it used at all, that they've listed GitHub as a place for people to communicate. And when you only see, like, the last posting was November of 2021, I'm like, I don't think developers are really piling onto this one. And since I saw in the future of cryptocurrency, one of the deciding factors on the survivors was not only going to be the adoption part of it, but it was also going to be the developers. I mean, like, where does Moo go? Where's what protocol is MooAnt willing to work on? And people like you, right? And you're not willing, you're not interested in TrueBit. You don't like it. So,
I mean,
that's
know
pretty
anybody.
much,
Connected.
That helps you feel the wind, which way it's blowing, right?
Right. 100%. Absolutely. There's something I was going to say. Oh, we have one more question. Sam, this is from Smiling Sun. Says, Sam, when you talk about your book of seed words example, is this just a regular book on paper or something?
Yeah, it's just a notebook that is small enough to fit into a safe that I have at an undisclosed location. And again, I'm not a trader, so that's one of the advantages. And the other thing too is, like, I don't trade my gold and silver either. So again, very easy for me to put this stuff sort of in an undisclosed location, because, being someone who is involved in cryptos, I don't want anyone showing up and threatening me to open up my wallets and stuff like that. I've basically set it up so that it would be impossible for me to do anything like that, if somebody were to come into my place of work and, try to force that. So I think that it's a good idea for folks to start thinking about that as well, to make sure that you've got your seed words in a book written down. When you write your seed words down, rebuild the wallet on a computer, throw it out again, but rebuild it just to make sure that you've written the seed words down correctly. Believe you me, you do not want to find out that you are missing a seed word when it comes time. Like, there's so many people on our platform here with the Sam Jammers who have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in wallets that they cannot access because they didn't write down all of their seed words correctly. And they didn't know that they didn't write them down correctly until the system failed. And then they had to rebuild. And then they're like, uh-oh. And then they have no more seed. They don't have like another thing to access.
Yeah, that's the wrong time to test it for the first time, is in a period of crisis where you have to restore, right? So that's why we always ask people to test these things first. Make sure you got the words correct, that, you can rebuild that, you can restore it. And then once you feel comfortable that you, one, you know how to do it, and two, it works correctly, then you can move some stuff over to it. Yeah, absolutely.
And just a final word here. Alana says, devs like Solana. And I did want to mention to people that Spencer, who's going through, and there won't be a flashback Friday for this Friday. We're working on something. We're sort of off on another trail now. Sort of when you're going through all the blabs, you're like, oh my God, and you're like, we have to do that. We have to do that. That's going to freak people out. So we're putting together another, flashback Friday that people can go, wow, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I remember her saying that. I was there. But Spencer keeps asking me about Solana. Are you sure about Solana? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, I did my NFT on Solana. I better be sure about it, right? So, I mean, and the devs do seem to like Solana. I feel okay about Solana. It was just one of the ones I felt I had missed because, it ran to $250 like that. And people were like, oh, should I buy it? And I'm like, I'm not buying it because I missed it. It went like that. And, if it pulls back, then I'll certainly buy some. So, now I'm the proud owner of like 12 Solana, right? And I plan, of course, I'm going to get more, but that was the original cost to buy one, was the 12 Solana. So anyways, I'm all in on Solana. I didn't have I had none of it before I decided to mint on Solana, but there's going to be a lot of changes. We could see like Solana, Avalanche, and Phantom could be the top layer ones down the road. You don't know.
Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Good questions today, you guys. Awesome. Thank you very much. And see you tomorrow on Psychic Nerds, Sam.
See you tomorrow on Psychic Nerds. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye, guys.